Welcome to Global World Watch. Please subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates. The year is 1944. The world is engulfed in the chaos of World War II, and the outcome hangs in the balance. The Pacific Ocean is the world's largest battlefield, stretching thousands of miles, dotted with islands that have become crucial stepping stones in a brutal conflict. And at its heart lie the Marianas, Saipan, Tinian, and Guam, small islands with enormous strategic value, now the focus of both Allied and Japanese ambitions. To military planners in Washington and Tokyo, these islands were the key to victory, the pivot point that could shift the entire war in the Pacific. For the U.S., the Marianas meant airfields for B-29 bombers, finally within range of Tokyo. From these runways, American bombers could strike directly at the Japanese homeland for the first time. Capturing them would cripple Japan's war machine, disrupt its industry, and bring the war to its very doorstep, making surrender a real possibility. For Japan, losing the Marianas would mean the homeland was exposed and vital supply lines cut, threatening both military and civilian survival. The Japanese called them their absolute national defense sphere. Losing them was unthinkable, a blow to morale and national security. Both sides prepared for a decisive confrontation, knowing that the fate of nations would be decided in the waters and skies around these islands. As the American fleet approached in June 1944, the world held its breath, aware that history was about to be made. The coming battle would be the largest carrier clash in history, deciding the fate of the Pacific and the future of the war. The stage was set for a climactic naval showdown, one that would echo through history and shape the world to come. In June 1944, the powerful U.S. Fifth Fleet, commanded by Admiral Raymond Spruance, set sail for the Marianas, launching Operation Forager, the ambitious invasion that would change the course of the Pacific War. Waves of carrier-based aircraft struck the islands of Saipan, Tinian, and Guam, softening enemy defenses and paving the way for U.S. Marines to storm the beaches of Saipan under heavy fire. In response, the Japanese High Command activated Operation Ago, their last-ditch, desperate effort to halt the American advance and defend their Pacific stronghold. Vice Admiral Jisaburo Ozawa gathered Japan's remaining carrier strength, 9 carriers in total, and led his fleet toward the Marianas, determined to confront the Americans in a decisive battle. As fierce fighting raged ashore, the two mighty fleets drew ever closer, converging in the vast expanse of the Pacific. Spruance's formidable Task Force 58 formed a protective shield around the invasion force, bracing for the inevitable clash and ready to intercept the Japanese armada. Ozawa hoped to lure the Americans into a deadly trap, but the U.S. Navy was determined to hold its ground and protect the hard-won beachhead at all costs. American submarines prowled the waters, tracking the Japanese fleet's movements, but the vastness of the Pacific made detection and communication a constant challenge. Both fleets readied their air wings, with pilots and crews preparing for the massive aerial battles that would soon erupt over the open sea. The stage was set for the greatest carrier battle in history. The Battle of the Philippine Sea was about to begin, and the fate of the Pacific hung in the balance. Admiral Raymond Spruance, known for his calm, cautious, and methodical approach to naval warfare, faced one of the most critical decisions of his career. He refused to be baited into a reckless pursuit of the Japanese fleet, resisting the urge to chase glory at the risk of disaster. His top priority was clear: protect the Saipan invasion force at all costs, keeping the powerful Task Force 58 close as a shield for the vulnerable transports and landing troops. Some of his subordinates, eager for a decisive victory, urged a more aggressive attack, but Spruance suspected a Japanese diversion and held his ground. He waited, trusting in the superior American technology, radar, and the rigorous training of his pilots and crews. Opposite him stood Vice Admiral Jisaburo Ozawa, considered Japan's best carrier admiral, but facing overwhelming odds. His pilots were mostly inexperienced, his planes increasingly outclassed by American fighters, yet Ozawa was determined and had devised a bold, unconventional plan. Ozawa's aircraft had a longer operational range than their American counterparts, and he counted on support from land-based planes stationed on Guam and Rota to bolster his striking power. His strategy was to launch his carrier planes from a distance, have them land on Guam to refuel and rearm, then launch a second wave of attacks against the U.S. fleet. It was a high-risk operation, requiring flawless timing, coordination, and fully operational airfields. Any delay or damage could doom the plan. If Ozawa's gamble succeeded, he could strike the U.S. fleet hard while keeping his own carriers out of immediate danger. For Japan, it was a desperate gamble. There were no other options left as their naval power waned. The fate of the Pacific and the outcome of the war hung in the balance as these two admirals prepared for the coming clash. The battle was more than ships and planes. It was a test of technology and training. The U.S. Navy's Grumman F-6F Hellcat was rugged, powerful, and deadly. But the real edge was radar and the Combat Information Center, or CIC. CICs tracked enemy planes and directed fighters with precision, turning chaos into coordinated defense. Japan's main fighter, the Zero, was now outclassed, fragile, underpowered, and lacking armor. Their bombers were fast but vulnerable without strong fighter cover. The biggest difference: pilot training. American aviators had hundreds of hours of training. Japanese pilots were mostly young, rushed, and inexperienced. The gulf in skill and technology would decide the battle. The U.S. was ready, Japan was not. June 19, 1944. Radar picked up the first Japanese planes, just a prelude. At 10 a.m., Ozawa's first wave, 69 aircraft, approached. American CICs vectored squadrons of Hellcats to intercept. "Hey, Rube!" The call to scramble all fighters went out. The sky filled with U.S. fighters, forming a deadly barrier. The Japanese, unaware, flew into a massacre. Hellcats, guided by radar, tore through bombers and Zeros. Commander David McCampbell called it an old-time turkey shoot. The name stuck. Of 69 Japanese planes, 42 were shot down before reaching the fleet. The few that broke through faced a wall of anti-aircraft fire. No American ships were seriously damaged. Ozawa's plan was unraveling, but he wasn't done yet. Soon after, Ozawa's second wave, 128 planes, was detected. The U.S. air defense system responded instantly. Hellcats climbed to intercept. Japanese pilots, flying in rigid formations, were outmatched by skilled Americans using superior tactics. Lieutenant Alex Vraciu shot down 6 bombers in 8 minutes, a symbol of U.S. dominance. Of 128 Japanese planes, 97 were destroyed. Meanwhile, the American submarine Albacore torpedoed Ozawa's flagship, Taiho. A single hit led to a catastrophic explosion, sinking the carrier and killing over 1,600 crew. Ozawa's air groups were decimated, and his flagship was gone. The Japanese fleet was reeling. The U.S. was in complete control. Ozawa launched 2 more small waves, both shredded by American fighters. By day's end, he had lost 243 of 373 carrier aircraft. Submarines struck again. USS Kavala torpedoed and sank the veteran carrier Shokaku. In one afternoon, Japan lost 2 major carriers and most of its experienced air crews. The first day was a disaster for the Imperial Japanese Navy. The Great Marianas turkey shoot destroyed Japanese naval aviation as a fighting force. American radar, aircraft, and pilot training proved decisive. Spruance's decision to defend the beachhead was vindicated. His fleet was untouched. The threat to Saipan was gone, but the battle wasn't over. The next day, Admiral Mitcher would hunt down the remnants of the Japanese fleet.